All right, hi everybody. Pastor Jack here with our very first fishing video. Beginning of my fishing ministry for the Lighthouse Chapel, and today I'm going to cover real quickly trout fishing technique from the bank. How to fill a stringer full of trout from the bank. How to teach your kids how to do this, and it's a wonderful technique because the fish hooks themselves. All right, there's no playing around with it. So let's get right down to the tackle that we're going to need, okay? I have here a lightweight trout rod reel combo. You can get a trout rod reel combo from your local Big Circle K, from Fred Meyer's, from any local sporting goods. Here I have Bob's in Longview, Bob's Sporting Goods, and I have Sportsman's Warehouse. And all of them have a rod reel combo deal on cheap little gear, and you don't need nothing fancy for this, okay? You can literally buy one of those packaged up little kid ones, put it together, and catch trout, all right? So, rod and reel combo, you're gonna have them. I would advise having them put 4-pound test on your main line. It only costs about $3.50 to have them do that instead of buying a great big spool of 150 yards worth of line you'll never use, okay? So, trout pole, rod and reel combo, I think is your best bet, and have them spool on some line for you. Okay, so then what we're gonna need is we're going to get 2-pound test Stren leader material. Comes in these little bitty spools. They're under $2 for this, 20 yards worth. And that's 2-pound test, that's key here. 2-pound test, not 4, not 6. 2-pound test leader material. Brand, Stren, Trilene, whatever's the cheapest, to be honest with you, it will work fine. So that's your leader material. The other thing we're gonna need is we're gonna need some, I use size 12 snap swivels. This is your transition piece from your main line to your leader that we're gonna make with a 2-pound test, okay? Size 12 snap swivels. So you got your leader and your swivels. The next thing we're gonna use, and I'm gonna use a big example so you can see in the video, but this here is a sliding sinker. Sliding egg sinker is what it's called. And it's gonna slide because trout are both line shy and weight sensitive. That means if you use more than 2 or 4-pound test on your leader, they can see the line, they will not go near your bait. If they pick up the bait and they feel weight, they will spit it out. They will not take it. You won't catch anything that way. So we need a sliding sinker, and you're gonna see why. But actual size, I use an 1/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce sliding sinker, okay? The other thing we're gonna need is, and I'll take this off, I use size 16 treble hooks, not single hooks. This bait will not stick to a single hook, okay? So we need a treble hook. A treble hook means it's got 3 prongs, not just a single hook, 3 prongs, okay? Like so. I know it's gonna be hard to see. And we're gonna use, then for bait, we're using power bait. And the best color is pink. Pink, pink, and pink. Any shade of pink is the best color. And then it goes, then orange and chartreuse, and some of them have swirls with all the colors in it. So you're gonna wanna have at least 3 different colors, because one day they like one color, sometimes in the morning they like pink, in the afternoon they like orange. So you're gonna wanna switch it up as the bite goes, okay? Okay, so the first thing that we do here, let me start this over. Let me get myself situated. Okay, so my main line, and this here is an important part. So when you get your rod and reel, you get it home, you're going to make sure it goes under. This is called a spool bail. You're going to want to clip that over, and you're going to want to run your line underneath that. Make sure, because you'll be retying it if you don't, and that's no fun. I've done it many times when I was a little kid. And then you're going to run it through each eye all the way to the tip, and you're going to make sure that you allow yourself plenty of line to work with. Don't shortchange yourself on line to work with. Give yourself plenty of slack to work with. So here's our 4-pound main line. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the sliding egg sinker on. That's the first thing you do. So we put the line through there, and it's going to, as you can see, it's going to slide. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our swivel. Remember, this is our transitional piece from our mainline 4-pound to 2-pound test leader material. We're going to run that through the eye of the snap swivel, and then I go around about 8 times, 6 to 8 times is fine, around the line, and then you're bringing that tip back down through the eye of the line next to the swivel. Once you run that through, you're coming back through the big loop. This is called a fisherman's knot. You can look it up online. Look it up on YouTube. Google that. We're going to draw that down to our swivel, and then we're going to cinch it tight, but don't pull too tight, you'll break the line. Then with the excess line, we'll take a pair of line cutters or dikes. Needle nose pliers usually have a little dike in there. And we're going to leave about just under a 1/4 inch tab as we clip that off, in case it wants to pull through just a little bit more and cinch. Okay, so now we've got our sliding sinker to our swivel. See, and the sliding sinker won't go past that swivel. Okay, but it slides, and that's going to be key to catching these trout from the bank. So much fun. Okay, so then we're going to take, and I already have mine pre-tied, we're going to take our leader material, the 2-pound stren, and I usually go on my forearm to the tips of my fingers, and I'll cut that much line to work with, okay? Because we got a couple of knots, and we want to again end up with about 14 inches of leader from the swivel to the bait, about 14 inches, no more than that. We don't want the bait sitting up here because it floats. We want that bait about 1.5 feet off the bottom. Those trout swim along about 1 foot off the bottom, and we want that in line with their eyes, okay? So we take our leader material. You can tie it straight to the swivel, or you can use a loop knot that I typically do for easy on and off. So I'm going to take my loop knot, my leader, and I'm going to attach it to the swivel, and then we'll snap that on there. That secures that. So now I have my leader, and then I take my number 16 treble hook, 3-prong hook, and I use a fisherman's knot for that, just like the swivel, and I tie it to the other end of that leader, okay? So now what we have is we have a sliding sinker to a swivel. We have 14 inches of leader to a number 16 treble hook, okay? Now what we're going to do is then we take some power bait, and remember I recommend pink, and we're only going to use about the tip of a pinky worth, okay? And the reason that we have to use a treble hook is because this stuff will not stick to a single hook and stay on. So it takes those 3 prongs, and we're just going to put enough bait on there to cover the hook. That's all we want to do, is cover that hook, like so. Okay? So now what's going to happen, again, this bait floats. So now what's going to happen is we're going to cast it out. I recommend 10, 15, no more than 15 yards off the bank are you going to cast. The trout like to swim along the bank, okay, closer. We're not casting this out into the middle of the lake. The further is not better. Trout, like when they're feeding in the mornings and the evenings, they like to come closer to the bank. So about 10 to 15 yards at the most is how far we're casting. So that bait, after we cast it, the sinker takes it to the bottom, boom. And then the bait floats up like so. And so the fish come along and they see that and they go, rawr. Now the important thing is, trout are line shy. That's why we use 2-pound test. If they see 4 or 6 pound test, they're not going to take that bait. They can see the line, they know what's up, they're that smart. They're also weight sensitive. So in other words, if I didn't have a sliding sinker and they picked up the bait and the weight and felt that weight, they'll spit it out. You'll never get a fish that way. So because of that technique, in order to make this work right, when you cast it out, you let it sink to the bottom, you let the line go and go until it stops. And then before you set your pole down behind a rock or a little pole holder if you have one, but you don't need one, a rock works, your tackle box works, the chair that you bring to sit on, you can set it right there. But I recommend setting the pole down and leave a bow in the line. Do not leave it taut, because if they pick up the bait and they feel that, they will spit it. They're sensitive. Remember to that. You want to present a bait, they can't see the line and they can't feel. All they're doing is tasting that thing. So you're going to cast it out, let it sink to the bottom. Once it stops and hits the bottom, then you're going to let out some more line, click over your bail, set it down, and make sure you have a nice bow in your line. Now what that means is you're not watching the tip of your pole for a bite. Okay? What you're watching is you're watching that line, the slack in the line, because when a fish takes it, that line's going to start going out. And then when you see that line going out, what he's doing, he's swimming and eating. That's why you don't have to set the hook on these fish. They swallow it. By the time it gets to the end of that line, you've got your pole ready, you feel it, and you just kind of do one of these real short to really nail it. And it's wonderful for kids because they don't have to sit there and try to time a hit. When you see that line going out, that fish is on the bank already, unless you do something like break the line or something, playing too hard with it. This technique I've been using since I was a little kid. This guy right here, my dad, taught me this technique, and I've taught all my kids, and all my kids, all of our adult children know how to fill a stringer full of fish. I've got pictures and pictures of them, and they help other people learn how to do this as well now. So that's your gear, that's your setup. Power bait, I recommend pink, orange, and chartreuse green. Take 3 colors always. One color might not be for the day. Sometimes pink works in the morning and orange in the afternoon, and chartreuse in the evening. Who knows? Switch it up. If you don't get a bite within 20 to 30 minutes, reel it in, change the color of the bait, and that might trigger them. Okay? Tackle box. If you have the money, you can buy one of these little things. They're like $8 for a cheap little tackle box. If you don't want to invest in that, I use a Ziploc baggie. It's great for the Northwest, keeps the water out, very durable, and doesn't cost me anything. Okay, so Ziploc baggie works great for a tackle box as well, all right, to keep that cost down. Okay, so again, a rod and reel combo, probably about 15 bucks is all you should be spending on that rod and reel combo. Real cheap little set. Your tackle, they're under $2 each. I guarantee you can walk into a sporting goods store and get all this set up, have them show you how to do it, put line on your reel, tell them the sliding egg sinker setup that you want to use, the power bait that you need, and you will walk out there. They'll tie it on for you and show you how right there to show these knots. I recommend that. But if you get stuck on a knot, you know what? Just tie a knot. These fish, that's fine. That's going to work for the time being, but do learn the fisherman's knot and a loop knot if you want to, okay? But that's a little more advanced, and this is a beginner video for those that maybe never have done it. Maybe you want to get your kids out. Maybe you just want to get yourself out. This is Memorial Weekend. Let's get outdoors, get the kiddos fishing, and watch them have a blast with this technique. This super, super productive. One last thing before I sign off is the reeling in part. Otherwise, you're going to spend a whole lot of time retying and going through a lot of gear, and it's going to get frustrating and no fun. And we don't want that. So when you go to reel in. You don't have a fish. You're just going to check your bait, change your bait, do something different, change colors of bait. I want you to lift up and reel fast. You do not want to lift up and then pull and reel and pull. What you're doing, you're just dragging that treble hook across the bottom with the weight, and you are looking for a snag, and you will find a snag. Then you'll be breaking off and retying. So it's lift up and reel fast. Get your gear up off the bottom and get it in, okay? Even if the bait comes off, we're not worried. This bait sticks really good, especially once it's wet from being in the water. It stays on and you'll have a hard time even getting it off. Okay, so pink power bait, 1/4 inch egg sinker, number 12, swivel, 14 inches of 2-pound test Stren line leader to the bait on a treble hook. One last thing I'll cover is if you maybe have one of these setups out and you got your kiddo fishing on watching that one and you want to have a little more action, a little more fun, try something different, you see some fish playing on the surface, this is on the bottom, I recommend a Castmaster, just a chrome Castmaster is what it's called, and it's the #1 to this day still trout lure. Okay, I used this when I was a little kid and we knocked them dead with this little lure. Lures are especially popular in the evening fishery. When the bugs are on the surface of the water and the fish are playing and they're eating the bugs off the surface and you see the swirls, those are fish eating bugs. Put one of these things on, they cast really good and easy, and just do a nice slow retrieve without hooking them on the bottom, but not too fast. They won't grab it when it's going too fast. So a nice slow retrieve, you'll figure it out. It's called a Castmaster, okay? Don't get one, this is a little big actually, I'd go a little smaller than this one. And then they have some patterns on them nowadays where they look like little minnows and stuff. So play with those. They're gonna kill this one just chrome with no color, okay? And you can see the treble hook on it, all right? So that's 2 techniques. Take 3 choices of colors for the power bait. Grab a Ziploc baggie for a tackle box. Make sure you got some pliers to cut your line with because you're going to want to need that. And get out and have some fun this weekend. Don't forget your fishing license. I know there's a free fishing weekend coming up, but check in on your fishing license and the regulations at each lake for how many fish you can keep, okay? Because they're different everywhere. Always check the regs, and if you don't know, call your local sporting goods, ask them what the limits are for fish, and at the lake that you're going to ahead of time. Always know those rules, okay? It's important. It's up to you as an angler, as a fishing angler, it's up to you to know those rules and regulations. Okay, well I hope that helps. I hope that gets you out and encouraged, and boy, you're gonna have a lot of fun doing this. I know my kids have loved it. I've loved it since I was little, and I'm happy to pass it along to those who might want to teach their kids, or maybe they need to learn themselves. Get out and have a great Memorial weekend, and God bless you, and we'll talk soon on the next video. All right, bye-bye.